At 82, I've lived a full life rich with experiences, love, and lessons learned through the years. But one decision casts a long shadow over my heart, choosing to move into a nursing home. At the time, it seemed like the logical step. My family urged me to make the move, promising a life of comfort, safety, and attentive care. Their words were reassuring, painting a picture of a place where all my needs would be met, where I could rest easy knowing help was always at hand. I trusted them, but once I crossed that threshold, I found a reality far removed from the comforting image they described. If you're weighing the option of a nursing home for yourself or someone you love, you might see it as the safest choice, the path to peace of mind. But before you take that irreversible step, I want to share 6 hard-earned lessons I wish someone had shared with me. Life in a nursing home isn't just about convenience. It reshapes your entire existence. And leaving is far more difficult than you might imagine. Stay with me through this journey, as these insights might surprise you and could be the guidance you or a loved one need before making such a profound decision. Let's begin with the 6 regrets that have redefined my perspective. Regret 1, losing my independence. The most staggering blow of moving into a nursing home wasn't the confined room, the rigid meal schedules, or the unfamiliar faces. It was the abrupt loss of control over my own life. At home, I had my own rhythm honed over decades. I decided when to rise, what to cook for lunch, how to spend my afternoons. I could wander through my small garden, savor a cup of tea in my favorite rocking chair, or curl up with a well-worn novel whenever the mood struck. These choices, however small, were the fabric of my days, the quiet joys that made life mine. But in the nursing home, that fabric was torn apart. My days were dictated by a schedule I didn't create. Breakfast arrived at 7:15 a.m., whether I was hungry or not. Bedtime was enforced at 9:30 p.m., even if I wanted to stay up knitting. If I longed for a breath of fresh air, I had to request permission and wait for a staff member to escort me. Everyday decisions, what to eat, what to wear, when to shower, became privileges governed by the facility's rules. I'll never forget my first morning. I woke in a bed that felt foreign, my hand reaching for the crossword puzzle I kept on my bedside table at home. It wasn't there. My home, my garden, my chair, the trinkets I'd collected over a lifetime was gone, replaced by stark walls, a clinical bed, and a hollow realization I was no longer the captain of my days. The hardest truth: once you surrender your independence, reclaiming it is a steep climb. You adapt because you must. You stop protesting when they serve you a meal you don't want. You stop asking to walk outside when it's not on the schedule. You bend to their system, but in doing so, you lose fragments of yourself. I saw it in others too. There was a woman named Edith, a retired baker, who used to spend her mornings kneading dough for her grandchildren. In the nursing home, she had no kitchen, no flour-dusted aprons, just empty hours. Her hands, once lively with purpose, rested still, her spirit dimming. If you're considering a nursing home, pause and ask, are you ready to give up the small freedoms that shape your life? The ability to choose your meals, your rhythm, your pace. These are the threads that hold you together. Once they're cut, the loss lingers like a wound that won't heal. Regret 2, feeling forgotten. One of the cruelest truths of nursing home life is how swiftly you can fade from the world you once knew. When I first arrived, my family vowed to visit often. We'll be here all the time, Dad. My daughter promised, her voice warm with certainty. I believed her. In those early weeks, they kept their word. My son brought photos to share, my grandchildren filled the room with their chatter. For a while, I felt anchored to the life I'd left behind. But as months slipped by, the visits dwindled. My daughter's weekly trips became phone calls, then sporadic texts. My grandchildren got swept up in school jobs and new adventures. Holidays hurt the most. They'd swear they'd come for Thanksgiving or my birthday, but plans unraveled: a sick child, a work crisis, a sudden change. I'd sit in the dining hall watching other residents gaze at the door, their eyes bright with hope, then dim with disappointment. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me. Life outside moves relentlessly forward, and when you're no longer part of their daily routines, when they don't see you at the dinner table or hear your stories in person, it's easy for them to assume you're fine. They think the staff is keeping you comfortable, that you're adjusting, that you don't need them as much. But the loneliness creeps in quiet and heavy, like dusk settling over a long day. One evening, I sat by my window, clutching my phone, wondering if I should call my son. I didn't want to seem like a burden, so I set it down, staring into the silence. That moment defined my new reality, waiting for connection, unsure if it would come. I saw it in others too. A man named Walter, a former accountant, used to beam when his daughter visited. But as her visits grew rare, he stopped mentioning her. He'd sit in the lounge tracing the same crossword puzzle, his face a mask of resignation. The staff were kind, but they couldn't fill the void of family. If you're thinking about a nursing home, ask, are you prepared for the isolation that comes when the world moves on? No matter how deeply your loved ones care, being out of sight can mean being out of mind, and that solitude cuts sharper than you expect. If you're finding these insights meaningful, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed, please do and turn on notifications so you don't miss future stories. Regret 3. Losing my sense of purpose. I thought moving into a nursing home meant changing my address, not my reason for living. At home, I had tasks that gave my days meaning. I tended my flower beds, brewed my morning coffee just right, and wrote notes to old friends. I'd knit blankets for charity or sort through old photos reminiscing about the past. These small acts were my purpose, reasons to greet each dawn with intention. But in the nursing home, those purposes dissolved. Meals were cooked for me, so I didn't touch a stove. My room was cleaned by staff, so I didn't sweep or dust. There were no flowers to water, no letters to pen, no projects to spark my days. At first, I thought it'd be a relief to shed those chores. But soon an emptiness settled in. The days stretched long and shapeless, each one a mirror of the last, with nothing to do but wait for the next meal or group activity. I saw the same loss in others. There was a woman named Rose, a former seamstress, who used to spend hours stitching quilts. In the nursing home, she had no sewing machine, no fabric to shape. She'd sit in the common room, her fingers restless, her eyes distant. "I don't know why I'm here," she said once, her voice barely a whisper. I felt that ache too. Without something to care for, to strive for, life feels like a hollow echo. The mind dulls, the body slows, and you become just another resident in a place where time creeps without change. The facility offered activities, bingo, sing-alongs, occasional crafts, but they felt like distractions, not purposes. I tried joining a painting class, but it wasn't the same as tending my flowers or choosing my own projects. Purpose isn't just about filling hours. It's about feeling your actions matter, that you're still shaping your life. If you're considering a nursing home, ask what gives your days meaning, your hobbies, your routines, the tasks you do for yourself. Are you ready to let them go? Because in a nursing home, purpose is a battle, and without it, you risk losing the light that keeps you alive. Regret 4. Declining health. Faster than expected. Before the nursing home, I was holding my own for 82. I wasn't running races, but I could manage my daily life, cooking dinner, walking to the market, doing gentle stretches to keep my joints loose. Those routines kept me steady, body and soul. But in the nursing home, everything shifted. Meals were brought to me, so I stopped cooking. Staff handled tasks, so I moved less. At first, it felt like a gift, no more hauling groceries or scrubbing dishes. But soon I noticed my legs felt heavier, my steps less certain. Getting up from a chair became a struggle, and the strength I'd nurtured slipped away faster than I'd ever imagined. I saw it in others too. There was a man named Harold, 79, who arrived spry, walking the halls with a quick step. He'd talk about his daily hikes at home, but within months he slowed. He started using a cane, then a walker, then a wheelchair. "I feel like I aged overnight," he said, his voice thick with disbelief. I felt it too. The more help we got, the more we needed. In a place built for ease, you stop using your body and it betrays you. The less you move, the faster you fade, and the cycle is unforgiving. I wish I'd fought harder to stay active. The nursing home had exercise sessions, but it was easy to skip them when I felt weary. If I'd known how swiftly my strength would vanish, I'd have pushed myself to walk, to stretch, to keep my body alive. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, will you find the will to stay active when everything is done for you? Because once your strength fades, rebuilding it is harder than you think, and that decline can steal years from your vitality. If you're still reading, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. Your engagement fuels my desire to share. Regret 5. Losing privacy and dignity. I never realized how much I treasured privacy until it was gone. At home, I had my sanctuary, my bedroom where I could shut the door, My kitchen where I could sip coffee in peace, my quiet moments to reflect or read. In the nursing home, privacy was a luxury I couldn't afford. Staff moved in and out for checks, medication, or assistance. Shared spaces meant I was rarely alone. Even personal tasks, dressing, bathing, using the bathroom, often required help, which felt like a quiet theft of my dignity. I knew the staff were doing their jobs, but it's humbling to need assistance for things you've done on your own for decades. In my first week, I grappled with the loss of control. Want a shower? I had to wait for an aide schedule. Need the bathroom? The call button sometimes meant a long wait. Meals were set. If I didn't like the day's offering, I ate anyway. Sharing a room was another challenge. I was fortunate with a quiet roommate, but others weren't. One woman, Clara, had a roommate who talked to herself at night, disrupting sleep. Another man dealt with a roommate's constant radio. No matter how you try to make your room feel like home, it's never yours. The bed, the walls, the schedule all belong to the facility. Dignity fades in small ways. Staff might knock, but enter without waiting. You're treated as a patient, not a person with a lifetime of stories. Your days bend to someone else's clock. I felt myself shrinking, becoming just another chart entry. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, are you ready to surrender the privacy and dignity you've always known? Because once they're gone, it's hard to feel whole again. Regret 6. Realizing leaving is harder than you think. I moved into the nursing home thinking it was temporary. If I didn't like it, I'd return home. It seemed straightforward, but leaving was a maze of obstacles. My house sat empty, and my children began clearing it out, selling furniture, boxing up memories, assuming I'd stay put. When I mentioned going back, they hesitated. Can you manage alone? My daughter asked, her voice soft but firm. It's safer here. I saw their worry, but it felt like they'd already let go of my old life. The longer I stayed, the harder leaving became. Months of less activity left me weaker. Tasks like cooking or climbing stairs felt daunting. My confidence waned, and living alone seemed impossible. I met others in the same trap. A man named George planned to stay briefly after a fall, but his home was sold to cover costs. The nursing home became his only world. The financial, physical, and emotional barriers were bigger than I'd imagined. Your home changes, your body falters, and the life you knew slips away. If you're considering a nursing home, ask, are you prepared for the chance that leaving might not be an option? Once you settle in, the world shifts and the path back is steeper than you expect. If you're still here, please comment number 6 below. Please subscribe and share to support more stories like this. Final thoughts. I don't regret growing older. Aging is a privilege, but I regret believing a nursing home was my only choice. I expected comfort and care, but lost my independence, privacy, purpose, and parts of myself I hadn't known were so vital. Are nursing homes bad? Not always. Some need their care. But weigh what you're giving up. Your routines, your freedom, your sense of self. These are worth fighting for. If I could go back, I'd have explored every option: in-home care, community support, anything to stay in my home. I'd have asked harder questions about necessity versus convenience. If you're facing this choice, take your time. Ask, is this the best path or just the easiest? Your life, your choices, your home. Your purpose is worth holding on to as long as you can. Don't let ease overshadow what makes you you. Thank you for reading. Share one thing you learned in the comments and how you'll use it. Your thoughts inspire me. If this resonated, like, subscribe, and share to help others choose wisely. I look forward to connecting again.